daughter, suffice to say, my daughter quoted, I think it was Bon Jovi. She said, "Oh, you're halfway there. Oh, you're living on a prayer." So, so I think that kind of might give the game away a little bit. But I'm so happy that now spring is finally here. And actually, there was one Toastmaster that I asked for what he liked about spring, and he disputed with me whether it is actually spring yet or not. But I would say definitely spring has sprung, or as we would sing at school, we would sing, "Spring has sprung," said the bumblebee. "How do you know?" said the old oak tree. "I just saw a daffodil dancing with a fairy on a windy hill." So I've seen the daffodils and I've seen them dancing with fairies. So I know for sure spring has sprung. And I absolutely love this season. Firstly, because my birthday falls in this season, and it's always a signal to me that winter is over. So things will start to look up from here. And in the Toastmaster calendar, there's an awful lot, a huge amount to look forward to at the moment. So we have our competition coming up, our speech contest, our evaluation contest, and there's other interesting events happening in different Toastmaster clubs in the area and the division as well. So just keep an eye out for those. It's a really happy, upbeat time. So I'm going to start now by just asking the roll holders tonight to remind us again of their roles. And the first person to come on tonight, apart from Samesh and myself, I think was David, who's going to be the timer tonight. And I know he's put a lot of time and effort into practicing for this role. So David, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. My role tonight is that of timer. The job of timer is to take note of the time for both the impromptu speeches during the table topics and also the prepared speeches. So during the table topic speeches, we're going to allow 2 minutes, at the end of which you will hear this sound. Does everybody hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. That's grand. We'll allow 1 minute for add-ons during the table topics, and during the prepared speeches, which are typically last from 5 to 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, you'll see this green background here. So if anyone wants to pin me there, you'll see the green background on my camera. At 6 minutes, can anybody see that?
Yes.
Yeah. At 6 minutes, you'll see the yellow background, and at 7 minutes, you'll see the red background. That would indicate to the speaker that it's time to wrap up the speech. Okay, so I'm back again. So yeah, that is the role of the timer, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, David. Description and well done on all the backgrounds and everything there. And David told me that what he likes best about spring is the lambing season, rebirth and new life. So again, really positive. Our grammarian for tonight is Antoinette. And Antoinette told me that what she likes about spring are the long evenings, which means that she can get outside after work, which is always nice. And also all the flowers that are starting to bloom in the garden. So Antoinette, over to you. Can you please explain your role as grammarian?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. So as grammarian for the meeting this evening, I'll be paying close attention to what everybody has to say. I will be keeping account on unnecessary words, crutch words that we all tend to use, such as the as and the ums and words like that. I will also be introducing a word of the day to the members. So I will be encouraging people to try and use it throughout the meeting if they can at all. The word of the day for our meeting this evening is caboodle. And this means everyone and everything and a collection of something. So you would use it like something like this. I decided to bring my entire makeup collection on holidays. So I packed the whole caboodle into the suitcase. So it's a whole range, a whole gathering, a whole collection of something. So I'll put it up in the chat now in a minute. So, and I'll report back at the end of the meeting. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Antoinette. And I'm so delighted to hear that applause sound back again. We had it at one stage. It's great to hear it back again. Thank you, Samesh. And now moving on to the general evaluator for tonight. So the general evaluator tonight is Samesh. And Samesh told me that what he likes most about spring is also the lengthening days and the blooming in nature. So Samesh, over to you.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. As a general evaluator, my role is to evaluate how the meeting went from the beginning to the end. So basically informing how the roles went and then also evaluating the speech evaluators. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Samesh. You're allowed to give yourself an applause. You earned it. And now, looking forward to this session. So I'm going to introduce Francis, who's going to be our topics master tonight. And before Francis describes his role and leads us in the topic session, Francis told me that what he likes about nature as well, similar to Samesh, or about spring, is the long days and seeing all of nature coming back to life again. So there's great hope there. So Francis, over to you. Will you please describe your role and then begin the topic session? Thank you.
Hello, I will be doing topics for the next number of minutes. And what I'll be doing is handing out various topics to each one of you. And the first speaker will speak for 2 minutes on a particular topic. And any add-ons after that, the speaker will speak for 1 minute. And we'll just have 2 add-ons to each topic. So that basically is my role, and which I'll start now. And thanks for the introduction. Okay, Samesh, you walk straight into this topic with your coach. Straight into it. You couldn't have. We live in the darkness when we do not look at how we feel about ourselves.
We live in the darkness when we don't look.
When we do not we live in the darkness when we do not look at how we feel about ourselves.
When we do not look at how we feel about ourselves.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. Yes. Understanding our feelings is very important. Because as human beings, we are actually people who have feelings. Not only human beings, I think even the animals, they have feelings. And it has been scientifically proven that even plants have feelings. So it's not just human beings, animals and plants also have feelings. How does the feelings get created? That we have to understand. Feelings come from our experiences and our thoughts. That's how the feelings come. We expect a certain kind of experience. And when we don't get that, our feelings go on a low state. So what are the types of feelings that a person can have? The types of feelings are something that could be negative in terms of anger, guilt, things like that. Those are on the negative side. And then there are positive feelings. What are the positive feelings? They are the feelings of joy, gratitude, love. Those are the positive feelings. The most important thing is to understand what is my feeling at this moment? What am I feeling at this moment? Sometimes what happens is we have feelings, but we don't understand that we have these feelings. And this is how some person can actually go into depression mode. Not being aware of what my feeling is. So that's very important. I think to be aware of how I am feeling currently. Am I feeling low in terms of sadness, anger, guilt, or am I having better feelings, the higher feelings, which are love, gratitude, joy? If I'm having feelings of love, gratitude, and joy, then I have to keep focusing on those feelings and keep it constantly in that space. If I'm having anger, guilt, sadness, I have to understand that I am. So the most important thing is to be aware of what our feelings are. That is the first step. And generally, what happens is when those feelings are coming and we are not aware of it, and if those lower type of feelings are continuing for a long time, a person goes into a state of depression. And this is what we need to avoid. So when you say darkness, depression is darkness. When we are in a depressed state, we are in a state of darkness. And how do we come out of the state of depression? We understand that we all are humans. We all go through ups and downs. Sometimes we have feelings of joy, gratitude, and love, and sometimes we have feelings of sadness, anger, guilt, all those. So it's a matter of being aware of those feelings. And the moment we are aware of the feelings, we are going towards a direction of light. We have come out of darkness. So what I would say in one short word is, let's start being aware of what our feeling is. And then we will go in the direction of light from darkness. Thank you very much, Topics Master.
Okay, Charles, you wake up in the middle of a bed. Bart Simpson's on one side of you and Homer Simpson's on the other side. What do you say? Or what do you do?
I say help, and I jump out of the bed. I'd be looking around, sees Marge coming in, and I make sure Maggie isn't coming in with a gun behind her, because she's got a reputation of shooting people. And that's the first thing I do, and I make sure that I actually went to bed in my own house, and then I find out, why are the Simpsons in my room, not in my tablet, where they should be. I have Disney Plus, so I'd be evicting them out of my room. I'm back into my tablet, and this time I make sure the potential parent code is on it, so they can't get out it again. And that's basically it. And when I did think of something, I'll ask Homer, how does he manage to keep his job in a nuclear power station, and he doesn't appear to know what he's doing, because he always seemed to be able to do different things. Like he won a Grammy, I think he won an Oscar. He seems to be doing different things the whole time. So how does he, what's his secret of success in his life? Because he seems to have done a whole lot of different things. And then I'll tell him to go back in my tablet.
Well, thanks very much. Now, on to a more serious subject. And David,
I thought that was serious.
I'm sorry?
I thought that was serious.
Well, this is more serious. Is it time that nuclear power was considered an option for power generation in Ireland?
Thank you, Mr. Topics Master. Is it time that nuclear power was considered an option in Ireland? I would have, this is a debate that has been on for 30 years. There was once a great argument for nuclear power to be a good source of clean energy for the country. It would dispel the need for all those coal and peat fired stations and the air pollution that they produce. On the negative side, there'd be huge risk factors in safety and the disposal of the nuclear waste. So I wouldn't put it into the green energy category at all because of the fact that so much toxic waste is produced, and it can have, and if there's a catastrophe, it will have a devastating impact on the environment, and not to mention our economy as well, is because we are an agricultural economy, and agriculture looks to be our long-term survival strategy. So if something were to happen to a nuclear power plant in this country, well, we could kiss goodbye to that industry. We couldn't be able to produce clean food, safe food. So that shouldn't be jeopardized. So if we want to produce green energy, we pretty much need to discuss wind, solar, tidal, whatever you need to that. So no, I wouldn't agree with nuclear power coming in at this stage, and it's that's me now. I like to think of it as an old technology at this stage. Thank you, Mr. Topics Master.
Martina, it is not how much you have that matters. It's our attitude to what we have that matters.
Thank you, Mr. Topics Master. I absolutely agree. It's not what we have, it's our attitude to it. And,
Yeah.
and you can see that right across the board, both positively and negatively. I think that there's many people that, you know, there's evidence to show that many people who've won the lottery and they haven't had money before and they get huge wealth and they get rid of it as quickly as they gain it because their attitude is to become easy, or they haven't learned how to handle or see or appreciate money. And then you have people who have very little in their lives, and it is their attitude to it that life is full and life is meaningful. So I know that's all very philosophical. If you ask someone who has no money and just say, sure, it's grand, it just have the right attitude, they'd probably hit you. But I do think it's like we can approach life that we look at the world from a half full glass or a half empty glass. And it is our attitude to life that makes all the difference. And I feel that I've kind of hit a wall, so thank you. I leave it at that.
Okay. Ryan Keane once said, as much as I can knock myself about the lack of skill I had, I worked my socks off. I got my rewards. If you give 100%, you get your rewards. Is that always true, Helen?
Thank you, Madam Mr. Topics Master. If I give 100%, I always get the reward.
No, will you get just rewards?
Just reward?
Yeah.
Well, I think those who work and work very hard and put their back into what they do, I think they're appreciated. And I think they are, generally speaking, if they do it for their own satisfaction and they love doing it, then yes, I think the outcome should be so. The idea of having a strong ethic and a strong work practice, I think it's always very valuable. I think even in terms of sometimes, if you think of students, the student who works and slogs may often do it very much better than the one who's very clever. And you can see it in terms of the classroom, how children turn out. The ones who put their back in definitely get there. And sometimes those who are so clever think they're going to get there and may not even do, because they won't put the effort in. So I think, yes, I think the idea of putting 100% into anything is well worth it. And the important thing, I think, is going back to all your previous topics, is the attitude you have to doing it. That you're not going in for just reward, you're going in because the pleasure it gives you. And I know another topic, if you do what you love doing, you don't, it doesn't matter. The reward comes to you. So there's a double thing in there, whether the 100% and the love for the thing works. And I think you have to have both. So the attitude towards what you're doing is extremely important. Your mindset that Samesh was talking about is very important. And there is also the personality of the person. All those things work. And if they're all in tandem and they all come together and they all make that 100%, yes, Mr. Topics Master, I think you should get your just reward.
Antoinette, what was your greatest memory in relation to the Olympic Games?
Okay, interesting question. I haven't a huge interest overall, but one of the greatest memories I have is that we were in London during the time of when the Olympic Games were held there, and there was huge excitement, and we were over on our holiday, so you couldn't miss it because England were, I suppose, they tend to do very well and have a lot of teams, and Team GB, as they were calling, were everywhere. And the children were small at the time. And I remember one day we were in one of the cities, and there was an area set up outside, and they were watching everything on big screens, and everyone was packed into a square. And it just seems so alien now actually to think of it, because the crowds that were around and the joy and the I suppose the excitement amongst everyone. And because of the fact that we were there at the time and we were there on holidays, we I suppose we got caught up in it more and we watched it. But I wouldn't be a person that would sit down and watch it, and I would have an interest when we'd have, maybe if there was Irish participants or that type of thing, and you'd have an interest to see how they were going. But overall, I suppose it wouldn't be something. But for the reason that we were there at the time, and the kids got T-shirts and different things, and we have a lot of nice memories associated with that holiday and that trip over to England. And it was at that time, I always think of London when I think of the games. So that's really it. Thank you very much, Mr. Topics Master.
Anna.
David has hand raised.
I'm sorry?
Francis.
David has his hand raised.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, just sorry now here. I'll just set my own timer going. Fair is fair. No, I just want to, just an add-on there on the Olympic memories. I think when I think back, the greatest memory, there's been many. I suppose the greatest memory that I can remember was when Michael Carruth won the gold in the boxing back in 1992. That's the Olympics in Barcelona. and it was such a joyous occasion. I guess you know, his achievement has been kind of overshadowed by Katie Taylor, because she's won so many gold medals and went on to have a very successful professional career. But I suppose that Michael Krut's victory kind of marked us out as a kind of a boxing powerhouse in terms of our Olympic achievements. I suppose it's kind of telling to say that we haven't won a gold Olympic medal in track and field since 1954, since Ronnie Delaney. And I don't think we ever will again. But in the meantime, we had got a fantastic silver medal in 1984 from John Tracy in the marathon. So they're just a few of my Olympic memories. I tune into. I think it's terrible that they're. Well, it's not terrible that they can't go ahead. They just can't go ahead in 2020, and I hope that they'll go ahead this year. It'd be terrible for the athletes if the 2021 Olympics would be cancelled, because they wouldn't go. We just missed the cycle. Okay, thank you, Mr. Topics Master.
Anyone else? Okay.
Charles has his hand raised.
Oh, sorry, Charles.
Yes.
Charles?
Yeah, you know, I had you mute.
Okay.
I remember it in 1984 very well, because with John Tracy's first marathon ever. Back then, they didn't have to qualify for the marathon. These days, you have to do a marathon and do it under a certain time. But back then, you just say, I'm going to run a marathon, that's it. And nobody expected them to do well at all. And back then, it was in Los Angeles. So I think the marathon started around 12 o'clock our time. And that's 12 o'clock midnight. And it was crazy enough to stay up for the 2.5 hours or 3 hours for it to be on. And I didn't expect them to come anywhere, but I still can't remember. I can't remember. There was a lad from Portugal won it, and a lad from England was third. But Jimmy McGee went ballistic, and he was when it became obvious he was going to win the silver. He started listing of all the medals that Ireland had won over the previous, whatever, since I think the first medal was back in 1932, and listed of all the winners, their names, when they won it. I thought it was amazing, I think, how he could list it off. And just one last thing, I think it's a matter of time before Ireland wins another gold medal in the Olympics, because there's so many good athletes coming in out. At the moment, out, I think last weekend, in the 800 meters women's, that I would the top 20 athletes in the world in that distance. 4 of them are Irish, and I think the top one is number 4 in the world. So I think just wait and see, and in the next, say, 10 years, I think Ireland could win a gold medal in a short distance, like 200 meters or even 100 meters. I think there was a young girl there last year, she's 19, and she won a gold medal in the youth championships for Ireland. So I'd be very optimistic.
Okay, Anne, we've finally got you. Anna, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Topics Master. A bird in the hand is worth more than a bush. Yes, I suppose I do agree. It is. Oh wow, it is making me think. So basically, what I think is that if, oh gosh, no. I think baby brain is after kicking in. I'm really sorry. I suppose what I would say is that it is very hard for us very often to appreciate things that we are handed, I suppose. And every time that something comes up, like an opportunity, for example, or some sort of a possibility for us to advance in whatever it is that we are looking to advance in, we might overlook it because we can't really see the benefits of it. Whereas if we focused and if we paid attention to what's actually happening around us, we would probably be able to avail of that opportunity a little bit more. And I suppose that saying is related to it in a way, that it is something that allows us to basically appreciate the little things and then maybe use them to our own advantage. But that is definitely all I can say about it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, this is just pulled out here. Oh, come here. Maradona died recently. What memories have of him, Joe? What memories have you of Maradona?
Two memories of Maradona, a mountain of cocaine and the hand of God. Those, I suppose, go nearly hand in hand, you know, with all of the greatness that people command. Fame goes to their head, and yeah, he kind of sat on his laurels and his fame and kept the economy of Colombia up and running for a very long time, and did an Elvis and got overweight and died young. But yeah, he really sprang to the fore. What was it, in 1986? Was it? It was the Mexico World Cup, and when they put England into second place in the World Cup during the match final. And of course, there was a lot of celebration in Ireland, and there was a lot of celebration in Argentina because they felt that they were disenfranchised out of those little islands off to the south of Argentina, and this was some sort of payback for that. But that's really my only memory of Maradona. He hasn't, in my opinion, done anything superbly positive outside of his own country. I haven't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he has built hospitals or done something useful with his fame. Maybe passed on some useful knowledge to people. I mean, that's the sort of legacies that you would hope that people would do. You know, people who are in a position of power and a position of responsibility, they can wield some good out of it, like various philanthropists, for example, Bill Gates, or there's some fine footballers who've managed to do it in the past. But I don't have any memory of Maradona doing that, but I stand to be corrected. But for me, the standout memory is the hand of God. Thank you, Master Topics.
Siobhan, is our secondary school system letting down our teenagers? And should the curriculum be changed?
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Topics Master. Mr. Topics Master, I was just going to say to you there one more topic, but I might allow you one more after this. So is the secondary school system letting down our young people? Well, I feel very passionately about this. Absolutely. Absolutely. Whatever about the primary school system, I think we have moved on a little bit, but secondary school, A friend of mine said to me a few days ago, and I think this sums up a lot of what happens in our secondary school system. She said, teachers are teaching subjects, forgetting that really they're teaching human beings. And I think that is the sad thing about it, that many teachers are focused, and I suppose it's the way teachers have been trained, focused and under pressure to teach for exams, to teach for standardized exams that aim to standardize and compare people who are completely different. We don't, unfortunately, we don't celebrate people's uniqueness enough. And because the system doesn't value individuality, not so much individuality, because I think you can work cooperatively with people while at the same time giving some value to individual strengths and individual capabilities. But because the system doesn't value that, I think unfortunately a lot of young people are not aware of where their strengths actually lie and what they're good at. Because what they're good at, what they're deeply interested in, is not what the system values. And I think the system, it assesses and it tests a very narrow set of skills. Actually, probably no skills at all, or very few. It's a very narrow set of knowledge. And to think that all of the knowledge and information in this great universe of ours can be condensed down into something that goes onto one piece of paper, a Leaving Cert or a Junior Cert, and that our young people who are so precious to us, who are so capable and have so many strengths and interests, can be defined by that is shameful, And I think one day down the road, hopefully, the next generation, if they can survive this, because I think they have to survive it and rise above it, they will look back and hopefully they'll see that some of us try to stand up for them, because definitely it needs to change. Thank you, Mr. Topics Master.
I hope I get a cheer like that.
Mr. Topics Master, will you just one more, please? Is that okay? Thank you.
Right, Deirdre. Is our nursing home the appropriate place for elderly people?
Mr. Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. Is the nursing home the appropriate place for elderly people? Well, it's like everything in life, one size does not fit all. It very much depends on the elderly person themselves. It could also possibly depend on their family as well. But personally, I maintain I have the right to stay in my own house until I die, or if I'm to do something, whatever happens, I think I have the right to stay in my own home. Now, if I have something like dementia or something that requires 24-hour care, well, then I'd have to revise what I feel. Maybe I can't possibly live on my own in my house. I cannot. It would be a 24-hour job to look after me. And I think in that case, maybe I should be in a nursing home. It would depend on my family and various things like that. But if I don't know what's going to happen, I have no objection to it. But if I'm in my full mental health and I can look after myself, well, I don't see why I would have to go into a nursing home. My job is not to appease my children or families' worry about me. If they're worried about me living my own, that's tough. That's their problem, not mine. If I'm perfectly well able to look after myself, I should be allowed to do it. And again, as I said, if I'm not compos mentis, then maybe I should be somewhere where I can't do any harm to myself or other people. Mr. Topics Master.
Okay, I think I've been told that's the last topic.
Charles has his hand raised. Charles.
I'm sorry. Oh, sorry.
Charles has his hand raised.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, Francis. Well, I don't know if this is a sign things to come, but I hear down in the nursing home in Turner's Pass, they're building chalets around or behind the nursing home. So, and as far as what I learned is this is for, it's not, you would be in the nursing home, but these chalets are for older people. They want to be independent, but they want to be near medical if they need it, and they can come and go as they please and have their own kitchen and stuff like that. But if there is an emergency, just press a button and the staff come from the nursing home to give them a hand. But they can go. There won't be residents in the nursing homes, but they'll be beside the nursing home. So if there is an emergency, there'll be somebody at hand to look after them. Does that make sense? No, I could be completely wrong with that, but that's what I was led to believe. So maybe with that's the future of nursing homes. That for the real bad cases with dementia in the nursing home, be there, but outside the nursing home or near the nursing home, they have these chalets that you could be living independently, but if something does go wrong, you're not 100 miles away from it for medical care. Or does anybody else know anything about that?
Well, thanks so much. You're keeping an eye on me, and sometimes that's good. I think, as far as I know, that's the last topic. My Toastmaster has given me that order. So thank you very much, everyone. And thankfully, I got everyone in. And it's great to get everyone to talk. So thanks very much. And got great feedback. I've learned a lot. Right, thank you.
Well done, Francis.
Great job, Francis.
Well done, Francis. You had quite a diverse caboodle of topics there tonight, and I think you did manage to get almost everybody speaking. So really, really well done. But we have a tradition, as you know, of turning a topic back on the topics master. And they really were very diverse. But I think the one I want to ask you is, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. I know my own experience. I've actually, the competition speech does mention a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. And what's ironic is I had a bird in the hand and it went totally wrong. I missed out on another opportunity, and it was one of the birds in the bush, of course. And I think, you know, generally it is the ideal case that a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, that you go with what you have and just leave the rest, like it's what's best. But it doesn't necessarily mean it turns out the best. At the time, it's the best. But I suppose in my case, I had just got a job in Dublin and I had another option. And as I said, in the end of the actual speech, I actually had two birds in my hand. I just picked the wrong one. So sometimes you can be very wrong. The bird in your hand is good, and it may be the solution at that moment, but it may turn out to be the wrong solution. I always tend to go on instinct, and now I've made the mistakes in the past by going with the bird in the hand, but it's not necessarily the right decision at the same time. I suppose I can tell you, seeing you're going to hear the speech anyway, I had got a call from a girl, and I just got a job in Dublin. Now, she was encouraging me down. There was a room vacant in the house she was staying in, but I got a job. So I went to Dublin, and I said, I'll think about ringing you. And I rang 2 months later to discover that she was on her honeymoon. Mm-hmm. Now, you know, I had an opportunity to go in a direction which was the right one, but I went with where I had a bird in the hand. So it's not always the right thing to do, but it's the safest thing to do. And I would believe in the bird in the hand, but I would check the other birds in the bush and see, is there a better option in there, and not take the first thing that comes. So for me, a bird in the hand is good, but definitely check your options. It just might be one of those in the bush that's better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francis. We have a very rowdy crowd in tonight, but they seem to be very happy with all of the contributions. I can't wait to hear their response to the speeches in the second half tonight. Francis, you've raised our curiosity, I think, now about the speech contest, and we will be mentioning that at the end of tonight. It sounds like that's a speech that might bring up a whole caboodle of feelings. So very interesting indeed. So we're going to take a 5-minute break now, guys, for you all to stretch your legs and get some refreshments. So it's 21:08 now. So if we could get back before 1:15, that would be great. And we'll get started then with our prepared speeches. Enjoy your break.
So I'm taking it word of the day is caboodle.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. Caboodle.
Okay. What does that mean? Any collection in its entirety. Right, okay.
She won got it twice now.
Yeah, the whole kit and caboodle. Right, okay. Let's see. Okay, all right. So an entire collection.
Very nice touch. So the second part of our meeting, as you know, at this stage is devoted to our prepared speeches. And tonight we have 2 prepared speeches. So the first prepared speech will be delivered by Anna. And Anna's evaluator tonight is Joseph. So I asked Joe about spring earlier on. And Joe, you weren't here when I mentioned that I do believe spring has well and truly started. I know Joe thinks otherwise, but he has said that he likes it because it's the harbinger of his favorite season, which is summer. And he does recognize that spring is the season of hope and rebirth. And he loves the change in the bird song. And like I said, he doesn't regard February as the start of spring. So, Joseph, would you tell us, please, what are the objectives for Anna's speech tonight?
Thank you, the Ministry of Defence, Siobhan C. Keenan Fitzgerald. My God, that's a handful. Right. No, spring has not started in West Clare, I can tell you. It was absolutely howling gale and torrential rain this morning, and I had to put a battery back in my car, and the bonnet was facing the weather. So, no, it was winter for me. Anna even. I was just doing a mash of your name, you know, with the H from Howard and all that. And Anna's speech tonight is the 4th project from Effective Coaching at Level 1, and it's research and presenting. So the objectives of Anna's speech are to research and present either an unfamiliar topic or a familiar topic at a much deeper level, and to organize that speech clearly to maximize her audience's understanding, and to make clear and engaging transitions between main sections of her speech, and to use and cite sources to support the speech content and make that source list available if requested. And Anna, the best of luck.
Thank you very much, Joe. So Anna told me that what she loves most about spring is the sun and the smell of the air during the season, and how everything is blooming and coming back to life. And she says it's probably her favorite season. So Anna's speech tonight is entitled, I hope I get it right, Toki Pona. Toki Pona. So with a speech entitled Toki Pona, please welcome Anna Howard.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Language is a concept that is ever present in our everyday lives. As humans, we are the only species on Earth to use such a concept for the purpose of communication. Language is full of rules and connections that constantly change and expand. In order to express ourselves, we use our mouth or our hands. But words in a book or a magazine are also a language. On average, it takes a long time to learn the basics of a new language, and even longer to become proficient at it. But what if I told you that there is one language that you can learn in just 30 hours? You probably wouldn't believe me. Well, let me introduce you to Toki Pona. Toki Pona is the smallest spoken language in the world. It consists of only 123 words. It was invented in 2001 by Sonia Lang, a Canadian linguist and translator. Her idea was to create something that would slow us down, something that would allow us to understand the meaning of life in 120 words. Did she succeed? First, let's focus on the name that Lang has picked for her invention, Toki Pona. Toki means language, and it is derived from the English talk. Pona means good, and it is derived from Latin bonus. The underlying nature of this smallest language is minimalism. In accordance with Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, Toki Pona assumes the structure of a language affects its speaker's worldview or cognition. In fact, it is almost impossible to make a joke or to be negative in this language. Toki Pona deliberately reduces things. It only allows for 5 words that describe color instead of a caboodle of different terms. Because is there really any point in truly trying to describe color? As you can see, loye is red, lasso is blue, yellow is yellow, pimea is black, and wallow is white. Like a painter, the speaker can combine those words to achieve any hue on the spectrum. For example, you would say loye wallow for pink, or lasso yellow for green. It's simple, isn't it? It's no different when it comes to numbers. Initially, Lang only had words for 1, 2, and several. Those words were then repeated additively until the desired number was reached. Those people who speak Toki Pona say that its linguistic simplicity enables a more profound form of communication. An American psychologist, Julian Jaynes, once said that it is by metaphor that language grows. The common reply to the question, what is it, when that reply is difficult or the experience is unique, is, well, it is like doing this. And it's that metaphorical process that is at the heart of Toki Pona. It is a language that simplifies ideas to their most basic elements. If you are hungry, you want eat. To teach is to give knowledge. It filters out the noise of our excess thoughts, and it points to the center of things. Imagine you have just started learning a new language and your vocabulary is very limited. Your natural instinct will be to try and describe the words that you don't know by explaining them. It's exactly what Toki Pona is trying to achieve. There is no need for complicated vocabulary, for sophisticated phrases. Everything we need, we already have. Lang herself explained that if you can express yourself in a simple way, then you really understand what you're talking about. And that's good. If something is too complicated, that's bad. You're putting too much noise into the equation. And that belief is kind of hardwired into the language. Let's take the word Pona, for example. it means simple and it means good, because the point of the language is simplicity. In reality, the word Pona can mean everything that's good in the world. Pineapples, bananas, cute kittens, whatever you want. In our everyday conversations, there are so many different things that we have to say before we actually get to say what we want. More importantly, however, there are so many things that we are not allowed to say at all, even though we actually mean them. For instance, let's look at politeness markers. You would say, if it's not too much of an inconvenience, would you please consider possibly bringing me a cup of coffee? Well, if you think about it, and I mean really think about it, it sounds so long, so complicated, so unnecessary. In Toki Pona, you would simply say, give me coffee. There is no please, no thank you, because there is no need for it. During my research into this fascinating phenomenon, I've come across a podcast about language, The Illusionist. One of the episodes takes the audience through an experience of actually learning Toki Pona, and I would highly recommend listening to it, even if just to broaden your own horizons. And if you want to challenge yourself even further, you can look up Lang's book on Amazon, Toki Pona, The Language of Good. It's available both for Kindle and as a paperback copy. Very often, we think about languages. We tend to think about how useful they are to us. Would it be worth spending the next 3 years learning Portuguese if I'm only going to be in Portugal for a week? How many hours of my hard work will it take to be able to at least grasp the basic concepts of Chinese? Maybe Toki Pona is the answer, our own return to the pre-Babel times. After all, we must not forget that in the words of Albert Einstein, the mind that opens to a new idea never returns to its original size. Let's take a leap of faith and try something new. After all, what have we got to lose? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anna. That was really, really, really Pona, I think.
Very good.
Very intriguing, fascinating. So can we take 1 minute now, please, to give Anna some feedback in the chat, please? Thank you all again. We'll move on to our second speaker tonight. And before we talk about our second speaker, I'll just move to the evaluator for Martina's speech tonight, who will be Helen. And Helen said that what she loves most about spring is the singing of the birds again and the opening of the buds and of course the improved weather. So hopefully after this storm has passed fully, we will have those improvements in the weather. Helen, can you tell us what are the objectives for Martina's speech, please? Is Helen here?
Looks like we have lost Helen.
I'll check, see if she's... Do we have any last minute volunteers to step in? Helen may rejoin us. Well, I can let you know that the Martina's speech comes from innovative planning, and it's the researching and presenting speech. In it, she has to research and present an unfamiliar topic, organize the speech clearly to maximize audience understanding, craft clear and engaging transitions between the main sections of her speech, and use and cite sources to support speech content, make the source list available. So they're the objectives of Martina's speech. And is there anybody available to? Deirdre, thank you very much.
Siobhan, if you, yeah.
Are you okay to step in? Thank you very much. So Deirdre's going to evaluate Martina's speech. Martina's speech, the title is Blue is the Color. Blue is the Color. So with a speech entitled Blue is the Color, please give a big welcome to Martina Breen.
Right. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Yes, blue is the color. Fellow Toastmasters, the world is getting older, and we as inhabitants, we as inhabitants on this planet Earth are living longer. Like living in this century, most of us can expect to live well and healthy into our 70s and beyond. By 2030, 1 in 5 of the population will be over 65 years of age, and we will have more than 250,000 80-year-olds plus. And in the next 5 years, for the first time in history, the number of people aged 60 years and older will outnumber the number of children under 5 years of age. But what does all this mean to us? Is it good news? Well, there's little evidence to suggest that older people today are experiencing better health in their later years than previous generations. But genetics, they can influence our risk of chronic diseases like Alzheimer's or dementia. But actually, evidence shows that our lifestyle actually has a greater impact on our health than genetics. Author Dan Buettner has spent the last decade identifying and studying hotspots of longevity around the world. Not just where there's only high concentration of individuals over 100 years old, but also clusters of people who have grown old without health problems like heart disease, obesity, cancer, or diabetes. These are identified by National Geographic as the blue zones. And these are areas, they're diverse and across the world. There are 6 blue zones across the world. Icaria in Greece. This is known as the place where people forget to die. It's an island in the Aegean Sea, and it is almost entirely free of dementia and chronic diseases. More than 1 in 3 of the population make it well into their 90s. Sardinia in Italy, they have nearly 10 times more centurions than the States, and it's the home of some of the oldest men in the world. They just have a traditional lifestyle. They hunt, they fish, they eat their own food, and they meet with family and friends and laugh and drink wine together. In Loma Linda in California, people here live at least a decade longer than their fellow Americans. Their lifestyle is it's religion-based, but their diet is mainly plant-based. And the most famous place of all for centenarians is Okinawa in Japan, often known as the land of the immortals. Okinawans have less cancer, less heart disease and dementia than any other country in the world, and they have the longest living women on the planet. And in Costa Rica, they claim their positive outlook comes from their plan de vida, which is the elders, that they have a reason to get up in the morning. This keeps them active, positive, along with their ability to laugh and chat with family and friends. So apart from us moving to one of these great regions of longevity, what can we learn and implement in our lives? Butner established the Blue Zone Project, and this gives us some strategies to bring some of the lessons from these blue zones into our everyday life. Because the evidence shows that the residents living in these blue zones share 9 healthy lifestyle habits that help them to live longer, healthier lives. And it's known as the power of 9. So it's about moving naturally, having a purpose, having downtime, the 80% rule with eating mainly plant-based diet, having wine at 5, note, putting family first, having a sense of belonging, and being part of the right tribe. But these 9 can be broken down maybe into 4 pillars. So it's to move naturally, so that it doesn't have to be that we have to go to the gym and to be running or trekking. It's to bring movement naturally into our lives, to get up every day and move, to have the right outlook. Like, it's, why do I wake up in the morning? Knowing your sense of purpose is worth up to 7 years of extra life expectancy. And downtime, no matter where we are in the world, there's stress. Stress leads to chronic inflammation, and chronic inflammation is associated with every major age-related disease. In the blue zones, what they have in common, they take time to de-stress, to pray, to nap, to have their happy hour, to healthy eating. So downtime is important. Eating wisely, 80% rule. Stop eating when you're 80% full. Walk away from the table. The 20% gap between not feeling hungry and not being full goes a long way in relation to obesity and longevity. And eat less meat. In the blue zones, they only eat meat 4 to 5 times a month, but they're mostly vegetarians. And wine at 5, in the blue zones, they drink wine moderately and regularly. It naturally is local grown, it is organic, they drink it with food and friends, so it's not about mounting up your 2 glasses of wine at night and having 10 at the weekend. It's moderately and regularly. And they have a sense of belonging. They put family first, and successful centenarians in the blue zones, they put their families first and look after the aged. They have a sense of belonging. And research shows that having faith and a sense of meaning, or being part of a community or a tribe, will add anything from 4 to 14 years of life expectancy. Because healthy habits are contagious, you know, and so is happiness, but also so is smoking and even loneliness. So choose your tribe wisely. So fellow Toastmasters, to make it to the age of 100, you have won the genetic lottery. But most of us, each one of us here, have the capacity to make it well into our 90s, and largely without chronic disease. So to keep healthy and have a long life, eat just a little of everything and with relish. Go to bed early, get up early, and go out for a walk. Take some time to know your passions in your life and spend some time with those who are important to you. And you don't have to change your life in a day. Work in one area a month, or depending on your age, work on one area a year, and you will add a decade to your age, not just chronologically, but years of living, contributing, and a sense of being alive. Fellow Toastmasters.
Thank you very much, Martina. Another fascinating, fantastic speech with some great tips and advice for us, a whole caboodle. New information. We have 1 minute now, please, to give feedback to Martina.
Martina?
Yes.
Sorry, Siobhan, I lost my internet there for about 5 minutes.
Did you get back on for
I'm back
Martina?
on now. Is somebody else doing it?
Yeah, Deirdre has volunteered. So if
Okay,
you
that's fine. Okay,
is that okay, Helen?
fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I'm very happy if Helen would like to do it. There's no problem with me.
No,
If
no,
Helen would like to do it.
See, I didn't get the beginning of it.
Okay.
So I missed the beginning, Deirdre. So I leave it to you then, because you heard all of it.
Is that okay, Deirdre?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you heard all the speech, it's probably better for Martina.
Yes.
Thanks, Helen, and
Sorry,
thanks, Deirdre.
Martina.
Okay, no problem. And I see my slides were moving on my end, but they obviously didn't move on your end, no?
Yeah, I'm very sorry,
Yes.
Martina. I didn't know whether to stop you or to intervene or to interrupt, and I
No problem.
wondered, but
No, sorry,
I think
Martina.
if you share the whole screen, the presentation will be shared. It happened to me as well once. If you just share the the presentation, it will show only the presentation. You have to share the whole screen.
Ah, right. I usually have a dual screen going and it works no problem. Yeah.
we
Right.
saw as far as slide number 5, and I suppose you were so engaging anyway. We got all the information. So
Oh, and all my work with the presentation.
oh no.
Great. Thank you for telling me that. Yeah.
Even maybe when we have a slot again, if you wanted to repeat it to practice that, but it was fantastic speech.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that.
Organize something. Okay, thank you everybody for taking the time to provide the feedback for Martina there. So we're going to move on now to get the reports from the different role holders tonight. And the first role holder who I'd like to hear back from, or can I get the time please for Martina's speech and for Anna's speech?
Yeah, from the first speech, from Anna's speech, the time was 7 minutes, 21 seconds. From Martina's speech, the time was 8 minutes and 6 seconds.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, David. And can I move now to, before the role holders, we go to the evaluators for the speakers. So the evaluator for Anna's speech is Joe. So Joe, can I hand over to you, please?
Apologies for that. I was in the wrong window. Trying to mute while I was on a PDF. Thank you, Madam Topics Master, and very well done, Anna. A great speech, fascinating subject. Sorry, am I still there? Yeah. And Anna, I'm just going to go through a few things that are on the list in the, I suppose it's kind of formulaic. So we'll quickly go through them, and I wrote extra notes to them. So I said that you excel at vocal variety. And one of the things that I certainly noticed that you really slow down your pace, and that gives a great sense that you're mindful of your audience and the rate at which they have to take information in. Your spoken language is clearly understood. You excel at that because you're talking about a new language where simplicity is at its heart, and use good simplistic phraseology, which drives home that point. So that's a double whammy, really. And your eye contact, very well done. That's always a tough one on Zoom because I know you have a presentation to give. So it's going to be hard to try and look for your slides and keep an eye on your audience. So well done on that. You can only be so good at that in that circumstance. And your physical gestures, you did really well on that tonight, because I saw, very definite hand movements. You did a great hand spread when you were talking about broadening knowledge base by learning new language. So you managed to convey your gesticulations very well, despite the limitations of Zoom. Your audience awareness, that one's a hard one to gauge, and it's really one for a real room. So I'm not going to pay any attention to that one at the moment. Your comfort level, you're absolutely at ease, or you seemed completely at ease, despite the complexity of your topic, and all those nerves that really never go away, no matter how experienced you are. So well done on that. You engaged the audience because you had a great topic to talk about. If I can speak for everyone else, I'd love to hear some more about it. Language is the blood of Toastmasters, so you picked a perfect topic for your audience. So you pitched it well. The research on this, you showed great citations and quotes. You clearly researched this topic, and you are very, very interested in it, and you're inspired by this topic so much that your enthusiasm carries across the screen and enriches others with your accumulated knowledge. Now, what I loved about this speech, let's go up to here, is, I'm going to have to make that little dialogue box a bit bigger. Yes, so you had a perfect opening, middle, and closure for a technical presentation. That's tough to do. So well done on that again. You great pointers for those who are interested to do their own follow-on research into this fascinating subject, because you gave us resource links. And you also got the words of the day in, which demonstrates the flexibility in your delivery style, that you allow enough leeway here and there, almost as if you're speaking off the cuff, but clearly it's a well-researched topic. Now, the only thing I could see, this is a very nitpicking thing, it's just a well-delivered presentation, is that because you wear glasses, there's a reflection off your screen. So I was wondering if you could use another device maybe that you can feed the slides onto your screen, so we don't get that much reflection, because we like to see your eyes and not the white screen reflected back at us. That is really the only thing I can pick out of this. I was so engrossed in your topic, I really couldn't pick any more faults other than that. So that was fantastic. My challenge to you is that you deliver your next speech in Esperanto. So good luck with that one, Anna, and thank you very much tonight.
I actually speak Esperanto.
I'm sorry now, if I could just ask a question. I'm after pressing by accident recording. How do I get that off? Like, this meeting is recording. I don't know how I managed it, but how do I stop it?
No, Samesh is recording it.
I have done that, Francis.
Oh, sorry.
You have not done
Oh,
it.
I'm sorry.
If you have done it, you just have to press it again. You just have to press the recording again. So then same button again.
Okay, and I dare try my best to get off.
Thank you very much, Francis. And we'll move on to our next evaluator. And thank you very much, Deirdre, for stepping in to evaluate Martina's speech. Over to you, Deirdre.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Well done, Martina. As expected, you delivered an exemplary speech, an exemplary presentation. You met the objectives very easily, which was to present a well-organized, well-delivered speech. I would have considered this speech light, but definitely informational. It was really, after listening to it, I felt inspired. And moving to Japan and Costa Rica might be out of the question for me. But in Ireland, Roscommon has the best statistics for longevity, so I'm in the right place here. What I liked about it is you're just a professional at delivering speeches. Now, I found that there's an awful lot of information in what you gave me, and for me to hear it, I wasn't looking at you at your presentation, but I know without that, that you would have been very good engaging eye contact and, visually, that you would have been very effective. Your spoken language was, fantastic. Very easy to follow. Your voice is very clear. You use vocal variety very easily. your gestures. Again, as I said, I was focusing so much on what you were saying, I didn't look at the screen, but I know from previous speeches that your gestures would it just comes naturally to you. Judging by the way you spoke, you definitely were fully aware of your audience. You kept us engaged and interested. You were very comfortable, as always, with the audience. Now, the information that you gave us was very interesting. You clearly had researched it very well. There's lots of statistics and quotes and countries and places mentioned. You mentioned the power of 9, which is the power of 3 by 3. The 4 pillars that you broke it down into with definitely something that's very, very easy to remember, and definitely something that's going to inspire me for the future. And all this part done without money. You don't really need any money to follow those 4 pillars. Maybe somebody to fund your wine, 2 glasses of wine a night, have it. I love the title, Blue of the Colour. I like a title that is exactly mentioned throughout your speech, but the fact that the title also is somewhat slightly obscure, I really like that. That the blue is the colour, is the colours where the longevity hotspots in the world. So Martina, very, very well done. I really enjoyed your speech. Your time was slightly over, but it was well worth it to get such a high quality speech. For the future, my challenge then for the future, like the previous speaker, is I think that the length, maybe have a little bit of a look at that. It's all just very, very, very slight, small little things. I think that maybe when you're quoting an awful lot of statistics in a lot of areas, to speak just a small bit more slowly so that we can absorb it that little bit more easily. But that's just, I mean, your speaking patterns were quite slow, but that's just possibly for somebody like me who finds it hard to take in too much at one time. But overall, Martina, it was an inspiring speech. It gave us a lot of information, something that we can use for the future. Definitely you met your objectives, very well organized, very well researched. So very well done, Martina.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deirdre. David, can I get the timing, please, for Deirdre's evaluation and Joe's evaluation?
Yeah, starting with what you mentioned there first. Deirdre's evaluation, the time it took was 3 minutes, 42 seconds. And Joe's evaluation is 3 minutes and 54 seconds.
Okay, thank you very much. So just a reminder that for the competition coming up, the timing of evaluations will be between 2 and 3 minutes. So if you go over 3.5 minutes, that will be two, you'll be disqualified. But well done to Deirdre and Joe. I'm going to move on now to get the reports. And the first person I'm going to ask to report back on the whole caboodle of ums and ahs and speech disfluencies and everything else that we made tonight is Antoinette, our grammarian.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. And yes, the word of the day was used many times by yourself throughout the meeting, which was great. And Anna also used it in her prepared speech, which was great to hear, and great that she was able to work it in. Overall, we weren't too bad. We didn't actually use too many crutch words that I noticed tonight. We had some as and ums and a few likes and so's and like I'm saying myself, but not overly used tonight. Our Toastmaster had asked us about our thoughts on spring, and there was a kind of continuation of that, I thought, to our meeting. We had a very positive start to the meeting, and we had a lot of talk of nature and long days in spring, and talk of joy and love and gratitude. So it was all very positive. And we also touched on the potential to a negative effect, such as the devastating impact that nuclear waste may have on our environment. I loved the phrase glass half full and how positive that was, and putting 100% into anything is well worth it. So we also learned how valuable a positive attitude is. So it was a very uplifting and positive meeting. I just loved the phrase from Anna's speech, "The mind that opens to a new idea never returns to its original size." And really, really loved that, Anna. So I just had to note that. And also some other interesting or nice phrases I noticed was our lifestyle. It has a greater impact on our health than genetics. So that's thought-provoking for us all. And another lovely thought was, you know, to this place, we can imagine this island where people forget to die. A very descriptive use there, and we can all imagine it. And healthy habits are contagious, or to choose your tribe wisely. So there was lovely phrases and words like that, sentences like that throughout our meeting. So that's all from my report. Very positive and delighted to see caboodle thrown in there. And I hope I have thrown in all now, caboodle and all, into my report. And thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Antoinette. The only time I'd heard of that word before was the whole kitten caboodle or something like that. And I don't know what the expression is exactly, but I really, really love the sound of that word. I think it's fabulous.
Yeah, I think it was the whole kit and caboodle, that it's the whole lot, everything thrown in. Yeah, so it's just all together. Thank you.
I thought it was the whole kitten, kitten caboodle.
That's what I think it is, all the whole lot, kit and caboodle.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you, Siobhan.
We learn something new every night in Toastmasters. Thank you very much. A fantastic word. And so moving on now to the general evaluator. I think it's the general evaluator. Yeah, is the last person to give us the evaluation on the whole meeting. So Samesh, over to yourself, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. As the role of general evaluator, I have to inform about how the meeting went from the beginning to the end and how each of us performed in our roles, and also evaluating the evaluators. So first I'll go through the structure of the whole meeting. We started 5 minutes late. That's okay, but I think it's good to try and be on time as much as possible. So let's try and work on that. I think each and every one of us can work on starting the meeting on time. So that will be a great thing to do. Next is the Toastmaster TMOD. This is a term that is used worldwide in Toastmasters. So probably Joe, you were saying the Ministry of Defense, but it actually means the Toastmaster of the day. That's what it means. This is used by many of the clubs as addressing the Toastmaster. So that's fantastic. As usual, Siobhan, the role of Toastmaster, you had everything in control and everything running in order. So thank you very much for that. Next, I would do the kind of evaluation of our topics master, Francis, and such a nice variety of topics, Francis. It's both on an ethereal level in terms of philosophy and also on a practical level in like Olympics and questions like that. So you had a combination of everything there, which is very interesting, and you had everyone involved. One of the things that I would recommend is we are all new to Zoom, but you should probably have a look at everyone in the screen, and you can see if someone is raising the hands or not. And you know, it's difficult in the Zoom environment. It is difficult, but this is something that next time if you're taking the topics master, you can probably look at everyone in the screen and see if someone is raising hands, or then you'll be able to give them the opportunity to do the add-on. But overall, the topics were excellent, Francis. Thank you so much for doing this role to such an excellent degree. Next is the evaluation in terms of grammarian. I think Antoinette does a perfect job in terms of actually looking into the details of the language that each and every person has spoken and giving the report in such a comprehensive way. So congratulations, Antoinette, on that. And that's the roles. Timing, of course, David Dolan, thank you so much for doing the role. And was to the T. You have provided everything, and you had everything arranged in terms of the topics as well. You had the phone arranged with the tone so that we know that we are running out of time. And you had everything arranged in terms of the screen filter for the colors, different colors, green, orange, and red. So fantastic. Thank you so much. Now coming on to the evaluation of the evaluators. First was Joe's evaluation of Anna's speech. Joe is a seasoned Toastmaster, so extremely well done, Joe. Even in terms of finding, generally what is recommended in Toastmasters for evaluation is CRC method, which is commend, recommend, and commend. It's like a sandwich approach. We start with everything positive, then we give some recommendations for improvement, and we end the evaluation on a very high note so that the speaker is enthusiastic to continue doing their speeches. And both our evaluators did that perfectly well. In terms of Joe's and Deirdre's, I think what we noticed was the timing aspect. Maximum timing is 3 minutes, 30 seconds. And unfortunately, both the evaluations crossed that limit. And this is what we have to keep an eye on, I would say, in terms of, because the next meeting is going to be the evaluation contest. So we should keep an eye on that to kind of work on that. And in terms of giving the recommendation, yes, both the speeches were extremely good. And to give recommendation on those speeches is not easy. So congratulations that you had the recommendations there. And I actually had one thing about Anna's speech in terms of, in the Toki Pona, she mentioned that there is no words for please and thank you. So I was just, in my private message to Anna, I did mention to her that how does a person express gratitude in Toki Pona? That's something that we should try and understand. Maybe I'll need to have a look at the resources that she has pointed to us. So that was one thing that as a recommendation. Right, and Deirdre's recommendation was perfect as well in terms of, I think it's all good. There is always chance of improvement. A person could be as great speaker as Simon Sinek or Tony Robbins, and they probably would be looking into improving, to going to their next level as well. So there is no end to improving ourselves. We can keep on improving as much as we can. So this is really great that we take that in that spirit of continuous improvement, which is called Kaizen. So with that note, I think let's keep the spirit of Kaizen within our club. Every step, every meeting, we keep on improving. So thank you so much for allowing me to do the general evaluation role. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samesh. Thank you for that general evaluation. And do we have a time for that, David, or did we time it?
No, I
No,
missed
that's okay. That's okay. No,
very sorry.
no problem at all. So that completes my role. I think I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting how much I love spring and the fact that I do believe spring has begun when it's my birthday. I know that everything is on the up from then on in. What I love most about spring is the daffodils and also the whole new life. New life. I love when I start to see the lambs in the field. And just on that topic of new life, I want to wish one of our members the very best over the next few weeks, because I think she's facing a very big event and a very precious and special event in her life. And Anna, we will be really looking forward to hearing your good news. So please do let us know. For a big happy send off, I guess. We'll be thinking of you. And we'll be looking forward to hearing about new life. It's a very hopeful and wonderful time. So with that, I'm going to hand back to our president, who I think is going to give us a little bit of information about the speech contest and some other matters coming up. So Samesh, over to you again.
Thank you very much, Siobhan. I'm not the president. I'm just a vice president at the moment. Yeah, you can say acting president. So this is what we want to kind of try and work on, if it's okay with you all here, that we need to have, because Maeve is unfortunately has family issues and she's not able to continue as president. So we would like to do a quick election, if that's okay. Now, anyone wants to take the role of president? You're saying something, Joe?
No, not this year.
Okay.
Bad year.
Anyone interested? We just need to, because we really need to have someone, and also as a secretary as well. Like Francis, you were a secretary before, so
Yeah.
would you be interested in kind of, because you come back to us as a member, so.
I know. No, I wouldn't. No. You see, my way is to be at meetings and to be able to take the notes. Like, but rather than be like when you're looking at the screen and there's so much happening, I'm not able to manage that.
Okay, that's fine. That's okay.